Welcome back to Ag Talk, Your Story Matters. This is your host, Vanessa Wood. And today, I don't know why that is always hard for me it's like to today. All right, we're gonna restart. Mandy's laughing because I have trouble saying that every time, and this is probably my 200th episode.
Isn't there a
And it
quote like from some
doesn't
movie
matter
like
like how slow I
today,
get.
Junior? Like, yeah.
Transitions are rough. I like 90% of the time. I love her dearly for it, but it makes me laugh every time. I
I'm
would
like,
anyway,
damn it.
but
I actually did have a speech impediment when I was little. That's a whole nother story. But okay. Welcome back to Ag Talk, Your Story Matters. And today I am sitting down with Chelsea Criswell. She is from Plainview, Texas, which is my hometown. This episode is going to be amazing. We've got a lot to talk about, from education to mental health and agriculture. But first, let's welcome our guest, Chelsea, to Ag Talk, Your Story Matters.
Thanks so much for having me, Vanessa. This is so much fun. I've been looking forward to this for a while.
Same girl. We've had this on the books for like 3 months. And so, yeah, just looking at the podcast schedule, I'm like, I get to interview Chelsea in July. And with that being said, I cannot believe that we are at the end of the summer. I know that we're going to talk about family during this podcast. So let's just start with that, Chelsea. Let me know a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are today in Plainview, and of course, about your beautiful family.
Well, thanks. Yeah. If you'd asked my younger self, like in high school, if I would be living in Plainview, Texas and married to a farmer, I probably would have laughed at you. I grew up north of Dallas, and I met my husband Ty in Abilene when we went to college at ACU. And funny with that too, the only reason I had even visited that school is because of a guy I was dating in high school. And so, but we have been married for 12 years and we have three kids. We have a Hollis, Lucy, and Audrey. And so they're just so much fun. Definitely a joy, keep me busy. I'm truly blessed to be able to spend lots of time with them because we homeschool. And so that has really been wonderful for us. And yes, Ty is a cotton farmer. And so that's really how I've gotten into agriculture. I've learned so much because my family, um, let's see, I'm a few generations removed from farmers, and they actually farmed in Pennsylvania and
Oh,
corn for that matter. So, yeah, but he is true Southerner. And so coming from my mom's from Michigan, my dad's family's all in Pennsylvania. So it's really, we are two opposites attract in every like form of that word. So that phrase.
interesting. So I did not know that, Chelsea. Okay, so what town did you grow up in? North of Fort Worth, right?
North of Dallas in Carrollton.
Oh, in
But
Carrollton.
everything's a mix there. And I went to like Louisville school districts because all of that, those lines cross.
Mhm. And you met at ACU, Abilene Christian?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a
Yes.
great school. I keep trying to get my daughter to go tour ACU, so we'll see. We'll see if that
It's a
happens.
good one. I would suggest
No.
it.
Yes.
Everyone that I know that went loves it, but there's some great schools all around, I guess I can say.
That's right. And you ended up in Plainview, Texas, of all places. I will say, when I first started Ag Women Connect, I don't think it took me very long to find Chelsea or for Chelsea to find me, which I've always been super thankful for. At the time, Chelsea, y'all had, your kids are still small today, but they were tiny. Um,
Yeah.
and you had just started a business, Acre and Rust. Um, and you were either teaching or you were a principal in the public school, right? Or
Yes. I was like, I think that was in the transition. And I was teaching when I first started, or when in Ag Women Connect, and then I was an administrator like the following year. So yeah, lots of life in between there. And yeah, we had just started Acre and Rest, and so it's definitely been a journey since then. It's been good.
Yeah, yeah. Lots of moving parts. So tell us, I really want to dive into the education part of this conversation. Let us know what you're doing now and why you started educating in a different way in homeschooling and the importance of homeschooling.
Absolutely. So education, I was actually in public education for 10 years. And 3 years ago, I decided, I just really felt the Lord's tug on my heart that it just wasn't the right fit. And it was definitely my dream. I mean, I went to Abilene Christian for my education degree. I have a master's degree. I was an administrator. It was my first year being an assistant principal. And I really thought I had made it to the job I was working towards. And, about that fall, I just really felt that it was time for a change and lots of different reasons. But one was my oldest just wasn't really getting the education that he needed. And that's hard. Like public school it's truly impossible to tailor the education for every single child. But I had three kids at that time, and it was just realizing just how different even my two oldest ones were. And I knew that I had the skills and the ability to give them exactly what they needed, and to push them when they needed to be pushed, but in a loving way, but also like in kind of a stern way too, because I know what's best because I live day in and day out with them. And you just can't get that in a class of 22. And so I turned in my resignation in January. And then we started homeschooling that summer. We homeschool year round. We take off June typically, and we do lighter in the summer months because my husband's a farmer and we can just take off when we need. And the other big reason was Ty and I's schedule was so opposite, which was good and bad, but it was bad for us because when he was super busy, I wasn't as busy and vice versa. So it just really caused conflict that I didn't see coming because, a lot of teachers go into teaching thinking that they'll get more time with their families and stuff. But I just felt that it caused more conflict having to, if my kids were going to get older, they wouldn't be at the same school I was going to be at because I was in elementary. And so like picking them up would be a problem. And we would have to depend on family truly a lot more than I anticipated going into it and just the shift there. And so we just finished our first year. My friend and I created a homeschool enrichment center, which just means that families can drop their kids off twice a week at our homeschool enrichment center, and the kids will learn science, social studies, a foreign language. I'm teaching Spanish, like we do life skills, which I tie in agriculture into that, cooking. I want to do some survival skills this year, sewing, and just really those basic needs that to run a home, but to just be a successful adult. Let's see. We also do music. We have a certified music teacher and art. And this next year, we're going to be doing theater. And we also have Bible studies as well. So it's just lots of things. And so that runs from September through May, and we're going into our second year. And we've already doubled enrollment from our first year to this next year. We've doubled classes. And it's just truly been God-led because I would have never thought it would have grown to this, but it's just been amazing. And it's truly just been the right fit for our family.
That's incredible. Okay, so where is this located? Like, you're not doing this from your home. So you've got an actual building, right?
So we borrowed a Harvest Christian Fellowship here in Plainview, allowed
Okay.
us to use one of their buildings this past year, but they're having to sell that building. So we're actually in the works of finalizing a contract with a new church. I can say that much, but it hasn't been like the actual location hasn't been announced yet, but it will be in one of the other churches here in Plainview. And we'll be able to rent some rooms from them and have our own space. And it's just truly been a blessing. It's definitely a roller coaster, like running any business. But it's been good. It's so exciting.
How many kiddos do you have enrolled for this year, Chelsea?
And we have 46. So we had about
Wow.
24 this past year. And yeah, we're at 46. We have pre-K through sixth grade.
Okay.
And each of the grade levels are coupled together. So we have 4 total classes. So pre-K and kinder together, first and second, third and fourth, and fifth and sixth.
Okay.
And I teach fifth and sixth. So
You do. All right. What are your
I
favorite
do.
subjects to teach?
Well, it's funny when you get to create your own school, you truly just choose only the subjects you want to teach. Like when you're the boss of it. But my favorite is probably science, and I'm really excited. Oh, and business class. So this past year we did a kids vendor show. And so for about 5 weeks. I walked them through the basics of running a business, and then they got to sell at their own little vendor show. So that was really cool.
Oh my goodness. I I love what you're doing, and I respect the fact that you are teaching common sense into your classrooms. I mean, you're showing these children how to run a household, especially for the little girls in there, how to cook, clean, do your daily essential things. And I feel like that is something that has been lost, in the last 30, probably 40 years. And um, I just want to say, like, congratulations. Like that's something that I align with, and I definitely think that they need to bring back into schools. I think the last year that they taught home ec in Plainview was when I was in seventh grade, and I think it phased out. And so I don't think there's really much of anything now that public schools offer. And I know that's hard, like for speaking nationwide. I'm sure some schools do, but that's definitely something that's missing.
Absolutely. There's just been such a shift, and I haven't taught outside of Texas, but there's just a shift for standardized testing, and that's
Yeah.
truly, it takes up all of your time and your mental capacity truly to make sure that your students are prepared for this test that I would say is not developmentally appropriate. And it's, we're comparing ourselves to so many other factors. And like you said, just taking out those basic skills that kids truly need. And so, I always joke, I'm like, oh, what I wish I would have learned in school. But I mean, these children, this next generation is probably going to have a longer list than I had because those basic skills are being taken out.
Yeah. And not to mention, I mean, you said it earlier with your son that there are kids that just need to learn in different ways. And it's really hard when, those classes are too big, or when we're not just offering them different tools on how they can learn. So just because they're not testing well, or they may not make a good grade in a certain subject, does not mean um, that they're not smart. I don't know how any other way to say it. uh,
Absolutely. And they start to feel that way. I
yeah.
mean, they start to feel I'm not smart. I keep missing these questions. But I mean, man, if you have a kid, show you with their hands or create something, which you don't have time for in a traditional classroom, you just don't. You can see their knowledge in different ways, and that's just what they need. But there's just no way to do it for 22 kids.
Yeah. Well, I definitely have somebody that you would love to talk to who is trying to flip our education here in Texas, and she's a force. And I if she sets this down for Texas, I would not be surprised if the rest of the nation picks up her blueprint. I know that she is specifically working with Governor Abbott right now, and she's very passionate about the same things that we're talking about right now, Chelsea, about really getting to know our children and what their God-given gifts are, and helping them create a life around that. And if you think about it, the way perhaps our grandparents were raised, and their parents, several generations back, that's how teaching was done. But we've gotten so far removed from that system. Like you said, it's all about tests and standards. And I really feel like, sometimes those relationships are lost within teaching, and you don't really get to know those kiddos the way you should.
Absolutely. And I mean, myself is a great example. I'm still teaching, but I've done several other things outside of teaching too. And really, when I picked my major in college, I just picked something that I was kind of comfortable with. But
Mhm.
so many people change careers or aren't
Yes.
doing anything with their degree that they got because they just weren't really taught what their interests are or what their strengths are. And I mean,
So
we
true.
always were told we could do anything. I mean, to some extent, but also God has given you certain gifts. And so
Yeah.
helping our kids realize what those strengths
Mhm.
are and those gifts are can really help them just kind of create their future for themselves after they leave us. So,
Yeah, for sure. And I love that you're, of course, a Christian-based school. That makes a huge difference too. And That's one of the reasons why we moved our kiddos over from public to private school. And I mean, it was a big shift for us, but I am appreciative that, they make that a priority, um, and, in their days. And also I think they meet weekly too. So, I think things like that make a difference. So I'm interested to see, we'll talk after this, like what church you're going to be able to move into. I may know the one, but
Yeah.
that's cool that you have the support of the community, obviously, and that you're growing. Um, I just think it's fantastic. And in this next segment, I really want to talk about like what that shift, Chelsea, looked like for you. I know that you had a business before you started your school, and perhaps you can shed some light on that, and just when you knew it was time to make that shift, and some advice that you can give others.
Absolutely. Sounds good.
All right, friends, hang on. We're just getting started. We'll be back right after the break. That was perfect.
I felt like I word vomited there for a minute, but you're welcome.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, you did good. Hey, it makes my job so much easier. So trust me, these girls know sometimes I'm like trying to pull people's teeth to get an answer. Not all the time, but sometimes that happens.
I do like to talk, so there we go.
It's probably why you're a really great educator too.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just looking at the chat. We are back from the break. Okay, Chelsea. So we're going to backtrack just a little bit. One of the things that we talk about a lot here in Ag Women Connect is, of course, like you, there are other women out there that are just stepping out into faith and starting their own businesses. But you had to leave one business to step into another. So tell me what that looked like for you, and is there something like specifically that just really, when you woke up one day and just knew that you had to make that change?
Yeah, absolutely. We started Acre and Rest Clothing Company in 2021. My husband, creating a clothing brand and creating t-shirts has been really popular, like right before COVID, through COVID and everything. And he is just super creative. None of these designs are mine. If you ever see,
Oh.
like they are all drawn by him. I am not the creative, artistic one, I guess I should say. I'm creative in different aspects. But he's like, well, let me just try and draw a few designs. We'll just see what happens. And that's literally what we did. But he created the logo and everything in our first four designs. And they just seemed to go over well. And he really enjoyed it. And so we continued to just build that brand. And I was doing vendor shows and our online store.
Mhm.
And it continued to grow. And it was really good. But seasons truly just change. And so some of it was the load that he has to undertake on the farm. His dad, he farms with his brother, his dad, and his uncle. And so, as the older generation just is taking on less duties on the farm, him and his brother, their duties are increasing, which is good too. And our kids are getting older. And
Mhm.
so going to shows and going to market and finding time to sell in person, because in person was still doing really well, and doing online and trying to juggle all these things. But our son started doing travel baseball and he's busy. And so, well, that's on weekends, and seasons just truly change. And so we have just seen that it was just kind of time to start stepping away from it. And it's been hard. But we really just knew when I was kind of starting to feel that dread of like, okay, now I'm going to another show, or the pressure. And I wasn't just feeling the joy I used to with going to shows, or it was just feeling so stressful. Like, I've got to make these quotas. I've got to be able to do all this stuff. I have a timeline for you, and you've got to get these designs done so we can come out with another collection. And it just kept kind of building friction, and not much, but just a little, like things just weren't being able to get done like they were because our priorities in other areas were shifting and changing. And then we started Kairos Enrichment Center, and that started taking off. It was doing really well this past year, and I truly just love it as well. And we only have so much capacity to do all the things, and I just could no longer give myself to my home, to my kids, to my husband, to Acre and Rest, and to Kairos. I just didn't have enough bandwidth there anymore. And I just kept feeling just too overwhelmed. And over and over and over again, I listened to podcasts, read my Bible. And when we're feeling that pressure, that hustle pressure, it's usually when things start to go south, is when we're feeling like we're just hustling to hustle and we're not having that rest time. And so that's truly what it became in our house. And so we've decided to shift away from Acre and Rest, and we're closing it down actually here in just a couple days. It's the official end date. And we talk all the time, like, this might not be gone forever, but it's gone for a season. And when we come back with it, we're going to have to shift some things to match our lifestyle that we're living at that time.
I'm sure it's been bittersweet through that, but I will definitely be lifting you up in prayer, because I know that was special to the both of you and your kiddos. I mean, every time that I saw you out, your kiddos were with you and they were a part of it. And I think it's also a great example, though, too, Chelsea, that you're showing your kiddos too that, like, mental health is a priority, and when things aren't working out for your family, like, it's okay to move away from that. And I know I've got women on here right now that, I mean, we're in it, like, we're in this with you. You know, we truly understand. We have these conversations quite often, and sometimes less is more, and I love that. Sometimes just when you have too much on your plate, that you can't focus on the things that you need to do, and you can't give it 100%. And I've been there, done that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it has been good to show our kids, like, it's okay to step away. It's not okay just to quit and give up. Like, there has to
Right.
be a reason. You know, that's something we're still instilling, because they are pretty young. And, you know, we don't just want to quit things, but if it is causing friction and over and over and over again, it's okay to step away and to just reevaluate, you know, what are you doing? And we knew that everything that we choose to do really has to fit within the framework of how we're educating our kids, because we made this transition to homeschool. And so if it's not going to fit to serve our family, then we have to just let it go. And it is hard. Farming's been hard for the past few, or for forever, let's be honest, but really hard like
Yeah.
the past few years. And so just that mental load that it was taking for my husband, who's doing all the designs, you know, it's really hard. And it's my job to support him. And so when I see this taking a toll on him, and it's taking a toll on me, and it's not doing good for either of us, then it's time to just walk away for a season. And what's great is we can always change our mind. Like, that's what I tell the kids all the time too. I'm like, it's okay to change your mind or to shift. Change is good. So it just following, like, the Lord's calling, and paying attention to yourself and monitoring your own mental health, like you were talking about, which can sometimes be so hard to do. But if we're not, then it can really drag us down.
Yeah. Let go and let God.
Which isn't easy either. Like, let's
No.
be honest.
It's so hard.
It's so hard. Like, stepping out into faith is just, and I've been doing it. I mean, like we've talked about several times here within 5 years. And it's not easy. But I'm definitely starting to see the fruits from it. And so that's what's, you know, can keep you going. Start looking for those good things. And it really has been like our kids' education. So I'm like, okay, well, this is going well. God's continues to lead us down this path. We're going to keep following. We're going to keep obeying, even when it hurts a little.
Yeah. I have I know there's got to be a reason why you named the school Cairo, right?
Yes,
All right.
Kairos.
What's the
Yes.
story behind that?
Well, I will have to say, I think I came up with originally Zenith or something like this. And my friend, her name's Catherine, we co-founded this together. She's like, well, that's a little too new agey for me. And so her late husband was a pastor. And so Kairos means at the right time. So
Oh.
that's exact. And so that felt perfect. Enrichment Center is truly because we want to enrich the homeschool life, and we don't teach math and reading at our school because we want the parents to head that up, and because it needs to be so individualized for every kid. So
Huh.
And it really has seemed to be the right timing, which is
Yeah.
amazing. I still get chills sometimes talking to like because like, you just never know how something's going to when you start something new, you never know how it's going to go. And it truly has been a blessing to many families. We have many families from Plainview, but we have several from Lockney, Happy, outside of Happy, Lasbuddy. And so
Wow.
several, yes, driving in to come to this center. And so that's really been awesome to see the impact that not only it's made on Plainview, but the surrounding community too.
That's really neat. Yes, at the right time. I love that. Just ties into our conversation too.
It does. I know, yeah. So I'm glad I had a friend do this with me because she is much better at making it like I was thinking like the pinnacle, the top or, anyway, much better name. I have to give all the credit to Catherine on that one.
Well, and that's neat that you get to do this with a friend too. I'm sure just to be able to bounce ideas off of each other and not carry that load all by yourself.
Yes, it's been great. We met, I guess, 10 years ago. We've been friends for at least a decade here, and our lives, she got to stay home with her kids before I was able to. And so she always has homeschooled hers. And it's been great to be able to do this together. Exactly for like you said. And her and I too, I somehow just attract the people who are opposite of myself, which seems to work out really well. We are two opposites and it works great for what we're doing. And it's just so much fun to get to build this together.
Oh, I'm so proud of you, and I'm so excited too. Like, I want to come and like take a tour. Yeah.
Well, you would be more than welcome. And also, we love to invite guests to come teach. So you could always come, guest teach. The coolest thing we do is, one of the coolest things, but there is a woman who is a certified naturalist, and she comes and teaches about nature. And
Okay.
so she'll come in, I guess she came 3 or 4 times this past year, but there's different certifications and it's really cool. So she teaches about nature, about different animal tracks.
Mhm.
We also learned, of course, about like butterflies and different habitats and all
Yeah.
different kinds of skins and furs. And it was so neat to be able to just touch and engage with the kids. And those were the best days. Anytime they can do something
Yes.
hands-on. We learned about the aquifers.
Mhm.
One of the groups from Lubbock came and did a whole class on aquifers, and then they got to create their own little water pumps and stuff and wells, essentially, like a model for that, and
Ooh,
take those
cool.
home. So we got to talk about water conservation and definitely
Yes.
about farming and where our water comes from. And so that was really neat as well.
Yeah, I think you have a lot to pull from, especially on the agriculture side, you know this, but just being from Plainview, whether you have somebody from Amarillo, Plainview, or Lubbock, there's so much to choose from. Have you taken the kids to tour the Fibermax Museum yet?
Oh, yes. And that was one of our
Right.
field trips too for Kairos because I'm a big
All
fiber. I
right.
haven't, has the new children's place opened yet?
Yes.
Okay. We haven't
Yep.
gotten to see that yet.
It's way cool.
So we're excited. We love the Fiber Max Museum. It's always a good time.
Yes. Um, okay, so since you've got this is just another question that popped in my head. Since you have people coming from out of town, Chelsea, are you do you have class Monday through Friday or is it only on certain days?
It's only on Tuesday, Thursday. So
Okay, I think I missed that.
for there's some sports organizations
Mhm.
in Lubbock and in Amarillo that if you go to any type of school more than 2 days a week, you're not considered homeschool.
Hmm.
And the state of Texas, I mean, it doesn't
Hmm.
really. Um, what's nice is the state of Texas is pretty flexible on that, but there's just the sports organization. So we only want to be 2 days a week. We truly do want to support homeschooled children. And if we're the primary educators, then they're not really homeschooled anymore. So 2 days a week, and then families have the opportunity to choose full time. So all day, Tuesday, Thursday. They could
Okay.
do halftime, mornings only, or afternoons only, or just choose one day a week. So truly flexible. And I didn't mention this earlier, but really the reason we came, or we also created this, is because Catherine and myself needed to still bring in an income for our families, and several homeschool families nowadays still have both parents bring in an income. One of our friends is a nurse practitioner, and she works nights and
Hmm.
still is able to homeschool. And so this gives parents the
Wow.
opportunity to still have some quiet time to work at home. And their kids can come to us for just a couple of days. And then also, so we can do all the fun, messy experiments and bring in all this stuff that you wouldn't bring someone to your house to come teach you about animal tracks and
Right.
aquifers. You know, they probably wouldn't come. So we get to offer those like really fun things that you can't necessarily do in your home. And some things are just better with friends too. So this way,
Yeah.
the common objection to homeschool of, oh, are your kids going to be socialized? Well, they definitely are when they come to Kairos because we are talking all day long.
I love that. Okay, so my next question is, is there anything else that you do outside of Kairos?
I am actually starting to launch because you know what? What's another thing? You know, I
I
talk
knew
about
something. Yep, I knew you had something.
I do a couple things, but I'm excited. I'm actually starting to launch some resources to help other people start their own homeschool co-op or enrichment center. And so I'm big on TikTok with this, and I just
Mm,
finished setting up everything. So I'll be launching it this next week to offer some resources. It's just been such a blessing to me. And I've had some people reach out that don't live in Plainview. And so I'm like, well, why
yeah.
not? Why not offer my knowledge to someone
Girl,
else?
go.
And
So
then
you thinking
I'll
like franchising or just like are you sending out free resources or what are your thoughts there?
So some are going to be some free resources, and then I'm going to offer some bundles of templates. So
Okay.
things like student handbooks, teacher handbooks, all the paperwork essentially that if
Okay.
you've never created, I've created for you. And then someday down the road, I'll probably create a course on it to help.
Smart.
So not franchising, but just helping others create one for their community. And that way they can tailor it to their
Mhm.
needs. That's what's been so much fun is I get to pick one, what I enjoy, but also what would be a blessing to our community. So, like I said,
Mhm.
we do a lot of ag in it, and we use the Texas Farm Bureau ag in the classroom resources for that. And so, just tailoring it to what your community needs or what your heart desires, because that's the fun part.
Yes. Oh, I love it. Okay, so where can people find you on TikTok? I can't believe you're an educator and you're on TikTok, Chelsea.
I love TikTok. I'm also on Instagram, but I need to up my Instagram game because I just love TikTok. But it's just my name, Chelsea Criswell. So
Okay.
on Instagram, there's a period between it. Um, Funny story for why there's an extra S on my first name, but in on TikTok, but actually it's like Chelsea with an S on the end of it. So CHELSEAS underscore
Oh,
Criswell. Like it
Chelsea.
was actually a typo. I
Okay.
just don't want to change it again.
We're just going with it.
So I'm just going with it.
That's too cute. Well, I think that's genius to do that for one. And I need to connect you with Amber up in Michigan. So she started a preschool. She's got little bitties, but she's basically doing the same thing. And I know that she would absolutely love. In fact, I think she commented on our social media. So I'm connecting you two, and I think that y'all would have a lot to talk about. Tons in common. Like she's got a preschool at her house, and she's very hands-on, and they're out in the barn and with the animals every day, like most of the day, whether it's sunshine, rain, or snow, like they're doing something outside.
Absolutely, because that's real life. And if they're not introduced to it as a kid, they'll never want to do it as an adult.
That's right. Okay, real quick before we end this segment, what is like, I love stories. Like, what is, and if you can say this, I don't know if you can or not, but what's one of the funniest stories you have with like a kiddo experience or just one of those
Ooh.
aha moments?
Um, well, my favorite experiment we did with the kids was an egg drop one. And in my head, I was like, oh, no, surely they're not going to do that great. And I should not have thought that. That's a mistake on my part. I was like, no, because I didn't plan on like getting on the roof or anything, but I had to try and keep finding ways to get higher and higher to drop these eggs because they kept surviving. And so I, in the end, am on top of my truck. Like throwing these eggs as hard as I can to try and break them, and like because there had to be a winner because there was a
Yeah.
prize, and they did so good that I mean, eventually I got them to crack, but it was hilarious. I'm like, how much higher can I get in order
Yeah,
to break these eggs? Like, we had so
that's
much
too
fun with
cute.
it.
I remember that now. We did that experiment. What do you put on an egg to make it bounce? Was it bouncing?
No, no, they just had to put an egg inside of some creation that they did. So some
Oh, a
people just like had them
creation.
wrapped in like
Okay.
plastic sacks. The one that won, of course, was like a triangular shape with straws and then rubber banded together. And
Huh.
because of
Oh.
like the um, shape it was and everything, just protected the egg. But oh my goodness, I thought I'm never going to be able to break this thing.
Did you get a TikTok on that?
I did. There is a there's
That's awesome.
there's
All
a
right, friends,
progression
we're
there. Yeah.
oh, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, friends, we're going to take one more break, and we'll be right back so we can open up this discussion for our other guest on today's show. And I can't talk. Let me redo that. Okay, friends, we're going to take another break. Hang on, we'll be right back with the rest of Chelsea's story. There you go. I trip over my words all the time. So
I do too. The same thing last night, and then I talked in circles. So it's fine.
you did fine. You did great. Okay, we are back from the break. Let's roll out with some questions. Mandy, what you got?
Okay, so I love the whole concept of all of this because I agree completely. Like there's so much disconnect in ag education and it stems from early in school and then we get it into, you know, they become consumers and they have absolutely no idea because they were never taught or they were never taught how to do taxes or change a tire or anything like that. So I love all of this. But my question is, for some, homeschooling or private school is not really an option. So what would you recommend, either something that you kind of do or just in general, but what would you recommend to those families where that option is not for them, but they still want to incorporate ideas from your program?
Absolutely. I think education has come such a long way, or I know it has. It's crazy how many different options there truly are out there. So if like something within a budget doesn't quite fit, there are lots of different online resources and online schools you can look at as well. And then if you're wanting to incorporate something like what I started, truly I would start small. And so we started the first year we homeschooled, we started with just a play date co-op. And so I was like, well, let's just get together and play with kids in the community because I wasn't ready just after 1 year, starting something. I wasn't ready to like dive into something big, but I knew on my heart I always wanted to do a little more with this. But yeah, on Thursdays we would just get together and play, and then we would plan field trips just around together too. And that's all we did that first year. And then me being who I am, roped in my friend. I'm like, no, let's actually start this enrichment center. But if you don't want to dive in even that far, there are co-ops, and there's a couple here in Plainview as well. And they just meet once a week, and they just meet for about half a day. And they have, I think, science and PE. I'm not sure of all the different options that they have, but you can start smaller. Maybe just have a couple of your homeschooling friends over and y'all just do one certain subject. And maybe it is agriculture because there's so many resources out there. I can't speak highly enough of the Texas Farm Bureau resources. They're free and they're fun. So we even watch their live streams of different farmers around Texas, and you can sign up for that every year. And that's been super cool. We got to watch about ice cream, goats. There was a cotton one. And there were several others I can't think of off the top of my head right now, but that was really neat. You could even interact and ask questions on the Zoom while they were live with a farmer. So even if you just wanted one certain subject, that's a great way to do it. And art's another great one that you can find tons and tons of free resources for. So you can truly do this to match your budget. You just got to get a little crafty. And actually, if you want to do it totally for free, I've started using ChatGPT now to create things. And so if you're not using ChatGPT, you are missing out, or whatever AI you want to use. But I used it to create novel studies. My son's reading Hatchet right now. And I just had it create the questions and activities, and it came up with some great ideas. So you can totally do this on a budget, or start roping in your friends and meeting just a small group at your house, and just grow as your community grows. That would be my biggest suggestion.
I love it. It's like Ag Women Connect for kids.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, you can start that too, right? Like,
I mean, yeah, she like I said, mine goes with me everywhere. So, you know, we do what we got to do, right?
absolutely. I know that's been the funniest transition too, of coming from teaching public education, but then homeschooling. I'm like, my kids are with me all the time now. So I will say, you will be with them all the time. You got to figure out how to do meetings like this with them in the house. What do you have to do to prep before and after? Or when you go on errands, we're just now entering the phase where I could maybe leave them for a tiny bit, but like otherwise they're with you. And so you have to be prepared with all the snacks and all the drinks to get through whatever you got to do that day.
Yes, we're in the it's finally like easy to kind of get in and out of the car seat okay. So I'm okay with going and running some errands instead of making my husband do it on his way home. But we definitely still carry all of the snacks. We're in the snacks are more important than diapers phase.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so on that note, Chelsea, like what are like three main tips that you have, especially for young moms that are just navigating through career and school and all the things? Like what are some ways that they can focus and just tips on having your kiddos with you?
Yeah, I'd really encourage moms, if you are balancing, like, or whether how you should educate your kids, truly just be watching them. Some of them are definitely going to be comfortable in that public school setting, and they want all the social interaction that they're getting there amongst the structured day. And so pay attention just to your kids and how they act, and the difference between dropping them off and picking them up. How is it the same? Are they still joyful and things like that? Um, and just start learning to how they learn. And so you can do that easily with, just reading them a book at night, playing board games. We all need to be playing more board games. This is my random plug for board games, but you learn a lot about your kids and those environments as well, playing with them, and or even when they're playing kitchen, or just make sure you find some time in your day to play with them, because that's how you're going to learn how they learn. And what's really cool about the time we live in is that you can find something flexible if you're wanting to change what you're currently doing. There's opportunity out there, but you do have to get creative and get a little gritty trying to find something that fits your ideal world. So what do you want that to look like? What do you want education? How much time do you want with your kids? And I don't really think there's a wrong answer. You just got to figure out what's going to work for you and your family. And it's always going to look different. Stop comparing to even your best friend, because it's going to look different than even your best friend. And that doesn't mean it's wrong, but you got to figure out what's right for you and what makes your heart happy and what helps your family function. And then if you do homeschool your kids, or you're a stay-at-home mom, whatever that might look like, and your kids are with you a lot, I do prep kids. It's like that's the best way to put it. I prep them before I have meetings. I make sure that they understand, explain it to them. I can't be interrupted right now, so I really prepare them. Like, here's all the things I think you'll need. Obviously, if there's an emergency, I'm available. But other than that, you can handle this. It's also teaching them independence. And so I think sometimes we shy away from making them be independent. We're not ignoring them, but they're not going to have someone for the rest of their life being like, hey, are you okay? Do you need anything? Can I get you anything? Are you hungry? Are you thirsty? Like, eventually they're going to have to get their own snacks. And so that's obviously been something we're learning in our house right now. Is even the almost 4-year-old. I'm like, ma'am, you have two hands. Like, you too can get this for yourself. And that's okay, because if we don't teach them these things and we don't force them, then they're not going to. So we have to remember to teach them that independence, so that when they leave it, we're always just preparing them to leave us, which is really hard too. But that's our job, to prepare them to be successful, wonderful human beings in the world. So how do we get along with each other, and how do we have that independence? Those are the important things.
Those are some great tips, great advice. Yeah, I had one of those moments this weekend. I was with my son and my just our whole daughter, our whole family. I was with my son, my daughter, and Andrew. He was coaching Andy's softball team, and getting on social media, I was like, dang it, I missed that event. Dang it, I could have been there, or I should have been, doing this. I should have been doing that. And I'm like, no, no, I'm supposed to be here like right now, you know, because I only get this time with my kids once, and I'll be looking back and just saying, I wish I would have done more of that. So you alluded to it earlier, like we all kind of go into that comparison mode sometimes, but it is, I mean, raising your kiddos and loving them, that's a great way to change the world.
Absolutely. And I mean, I have a love-hate relationship with the phrase of like, they can replace you at your job, but they can't replace you as a mom or whatever,
Yeah.
but it's to some extent it's true, but like I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but you're important and you're important to your family. Even if you don't have kiddos in your home, and you're married, like you have an important place in that home. And so just trying to find ways that satisfy you and the way your family functions is really most important right now.
Yes, ma'am. All right. So, one other question that I've been thinking about through this whole conversation is, all right, so you're doing a lot. Your kids are with you all the time. So, how in the heck do you do something for yourself without the kids? How do you fill your cup up um, without your kiddos? Or maybe it
Well,
is with your
yeah.
kiddos, maybe. I
I
don't
do
know.
have to be without my kiddos. I'm
Okay.
fine. I do. I have to be without anyone, but I'm a morning person. So I am the one that I'm the first one up in the mornings. I do my Bible study. I drink my coffee that I am absolutely addicted to. And we got a dog a couple weeks ago. And so now he's the only one that joins me on my exercising. But
I
so
love
I've
it.
been doing runs, walks to pay. I'm trying to run. Let's put like it's an in between there, but like, just some exercise. And I went for a long stint not doing it, and I can just tell the impact it makes on me. So I need to make sure that I have that time by myself. It's quiet. And so for me, it's the morning because I'm just naturally a morning person. So, but I know that's not everybody. And so truly carving out that time. And when I was teaching full time, like in a public school, I would kick all my friends out during my lunch period. And I said, I'm sorry, like this is my only quiet time all day long. I don't want to talk to you right now. And so I would close my door. And I know I said it much nicer than that, but no matter when you can find it, it's so important.
Yeah, we get it. Yeah, Mandy gets up at 4 to go ride her horse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say we have a lot in common. I'm that way too. I've been blessed with a very, very good sleeper since she was like 8 weeks old. Hey, let's not turn that on. So I've been very lucky. She sleeps. She still naps. Even at a little over 2. So I'm really lucky for that. Now I'm about to go do a workout during nap time. But yeah, it's so hot down here in Central Texas. Like I'm up and on my horse before 5 o'clock so that I can get done, get showered, eat my breakfast, and have my coffee. Same thing before she wakes up, and I have to be a functioning member of society.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not quite doing 4 o'clock, but
Me neither, Mandy. Sorry, I'm
I know
out.
I am a little crazy. I have accepted that a long time ago. If it helps, I'm usually in bed by like 9:30.
yeah.
So
Hey, but me too, but I'm like a 5 o'clock. Like I'm
I mean
also
that's
like a
okay.
baby and I need like my
I mean,
7 hours of sleep still.
there's
Like
some days that snooze button gets hit really hard. So sometimes same.
you just gotta carve it out when you can though. It's
Yeah, and
like
that's exactly what it is. Like it doesn't matter if it's because there's some like they want to do it in the evenings after everybody goes to bed. They stay up late or during that lunchtime or however it works. But you've got to have that time to yourself, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes, just to yourself to read, to meditate, to drink a cup of water or coffee or whatever it is. Like you gotta refresh your mind because everything takes a lot out of you. Even if you love everything about everything that you do, like it still takes its toll.
absolutely. I think that's a great point too. Yeah, like you can love everything. It's just if you don't have that quiet or that break.
Mhm.
I'll realize, like, even if I just didn't take like a fun break during the day, like maybe my kids are around or whatever, but just like a step away from my computer, a step away from my work, whatever I'm doing that day, like, man, it really just takes a toll.
Mhm. All right. Something else that I picked up on this conversation too, Chelsea, and just like my friendship with you over the last 5 years is like, I feel like you don't get in a hurry for anything. And I mean that in a good way. Like, I don't know.
I'm I'm like, I'm glad you think that. Like,
I
if you ask my
do.
if you ask my husband and kids, they might tell you something different.
Well, I just think that you think about life and like what you want to do and you put your family first and you're very methodical in that. It just I don't know. You just seem very grounded in that way. Just some I don't know. Yeah. I could be
Well,
very wrong, but
thanks. Well, I will say I've gotten a lot better the past 5 years that you've known me. So, right before, or kind of like the beginning of Acre and Rest and stuff like that, and in public education, it was very clear to me that like some doors were being closed, and because I was trying to hustle so much, and I was really pushing myself, I truly got kind of burnt out, and so I've just thought like now we just need to shift ourselves
yeah.
to focus like what are our priorities, and like I have to keep those a priority in our family and my marriage and God, like not necessarily in that order, but are my priorities. And so if I don't keep those at the forefront and make everything else fall behind that, then I mean I've seen what it's done to me before, and I don't need to let that happen again. And it doesn't, like we talked about earlier, it's still not easy. It's definitely difficult to keep those things a priority sometimes. But I don't want to feel the way I felt. I guess it's been about 5 years now ago, or just maybe 6, but don't want to feel that way again. And this, so yeah, we're going to get creative, and we are going to keep these things at the top of our list, and just keep these things going. And that's what we're going to do. That's the decision we made, and that's the one we're sticking to. So.
And that's the answer I was looking for. A great way to wrap up this conversation.
Absolutely. But, if you ask my kids about getting their shoes on, I do want that to happen in a hurry. And that's sometimes the slowest thing to happen.
Yes. Yeah, we all understand that. Well, this was an awesome conversation. I'm glad that we got together and we got to talk about this, and I'll be thinking about you so when does school start for you? I'm assuming like pretty quick, right?
The first week of September. So we don't start till
Oh,
September, but we will be moving into this building and putting all our new furniture together and everything in just a couple of weeks. So that's exciting.
perfect. I even love that more that like you're not starting until September. So I feel like our schools around here, they just like move up every year. I think we start in 2 weeks. Yeah, kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
So, all right, friend. Well, everybody, thank you for tuning in to this episode. I cannot speak today. Maybe it's the Topo Chico. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this episode of Ag Talk Your Story Matters. We'll catch you next time, next week on Rural Radio XM 147 at 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Until next time, have an amazing week. There you go.